Excellent. Thank you very much.
Dana and Steve should both have a copy of it now in email.
Dana and Steve, and how about
And
Dee?
Dee, yeah.
Oh, good, good. Thank you.
Got
So
it.
you got it, Steve?
I got it. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So I know that the main body of our work tonight is going to be the budget, but there's just a couple of things that I wanted to talk about before we dive into that, and Dana probably has a couple of things as well. I went over to Mount Vernon today to see how the fellow who we hired was doing on getting that junk out of there, and I noticed that somebody was burning something in the backyard and nobody was in attendance. And so I was back there checking that out when Josh drove up, and he's not the one that had started that. It was a fire in one of those contained drum kind of things. And so anyway, he was going to put it out, but he said that this is the person that we hired to do that work. He said that as of this afternoon, he's taken 15 loads of stuff to the dump. And the pictures that you're seeing are what remained over there today at 4 o'clock this afternoon. It is still absolute unholy wreck over there. What I wanted you to pay attention to is the shed, the pictures of the shed. Some of what's in the shed is frozen. And I suspected that this would be the case, that he would run into some stuff that he couldn't get out. But tomorrow they're going to bring over some pickaxes and shovels and see if they can get, the remainder of the stuff in the shed out. But if you look at the pictures, I think the third picture that I sent was of the roof, the back roof of the shed is not there. It has collapsed. And so the structure that supported that roof is still there. And Josh was wondering whether we wanted him to put a roof up. And so I can't make that decision. So I thought that I would let you see what it is. The front part of the shed, and Steve, chime in here because you've been over there.
Yep.
But the front part of the shed is still in pretty good shape. And in my view, it would be a shame to just let the back of the shed rot away, because I think that's going to encourage more rot in the front of the shed. Plywood is real expensive right now, but he could get some thin plywood up there and cover it with that tar paper stuff, until we put it on the market and somebody else can figure it out.
So is it it looks like, is it 2x4 construction in that shed? Is the beams 2x4s?
Yes.
And they looked all right?
They looked all right. I mean, they looked all right. His estimate was that it was going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of $500 or so to get up there and tear the rest of the roof in the back out, and then put the plywood on, and then the
shingle type stuff,
the black stuff on it.
Is it worth doing, Chris?
Well, I think,
How large is that shed area?
That's what I was going to ask too. Huh?
You mean the shed area where the roof is no longer there?
Well, both, I guess.
I don't remember how big it is.
No, I mean, it's probably 10 feet across by maybe 12 feet down the other way.
So there's roof on it. Some of them has roof anyway already. Oh, okay.
Yes.
So like half of it is roofed anyway, or
a little bit more than half is roofed.
Oh, okay.
So
that makes a little difference.
So the front part of the shed has a stall for some kind of animal, and there's currently belongings in there and stuff. And then there's, it's a nice little space, actually, and it's a sweet shed. I think it's worth saving.
Yeah.
So if you take the first picture you sent me and zoom in on it, you can see the shed is on the back right-hand side. You can see the blue top on the roof.
Right,
So that'll give you an idea how big the shed is.
that's right.
I thought that was the shed, but I wanted to make sure.
No, that's where it is.
So there's the shed, and then there's the back shed that's, you know, the back part of the nice shed.
Yeah, so there's the hip roof, there's the standard
Yes.
roof style, and then there's the lean-to shed portion on the back of it, which is
That's it.
falling in.
Yeah,
It's the lean-to. Oh, it's attached to the building.
yes,
Right.
Well, that
Not
makes
to the
sense.
house, not to the main house, but to the outer building.
the
Yeah, to
shed,
the other
right
shed.
there.
Right.
And
Oh,
that's
that's
what,
all. Oh, that's all a shed. That's not the house.
No,
no, the house is another.
Oh, okay. I didn't
That
know
would be one
different
fine
deal.
tiny house.
yeah.
Oh, well, then that's a big shed. So I tell you, it'd be worth it. People could always use it
Oh,
for
totally.
so much stuff. Yeah. So it'd probably be worth it. $500 to fix it. I would say, because we could probably double our profits when we sell it. Because if
Yeah.
they had to build a whole new one, it'd probably cost quite a few $1,000s.
It
Right.
would.
So just to protect the property value, I think it would be a good idea to just get some plywood up there.
Yeah, I agree. I think it is a good idea because properties are going like hotcakes, and anything with extra space is always great.
Yep.
Yeah.
So-
Did he happen to mention when he thought he would? I mean, he said he hauled away several loads, but did he mention when he thought he would actually be complete?
He thought he'd be done by Saturday.
Okay.
So you can see on the last slide that I think I sent you a picture of the roof that's not there.
Yep.
Yeah,
And so it appears as though there's a rafter there that looks to be like a 2x6,
yeah.
and another one that's holding that up that's a 2x6. But you know, it's pretty much a slapped together kind of deal.
Mhm.
So anyway, should we have you? Is it our collective opinion that we should go ahead and have him fix the roof?
I would agree because I think that's a pretty good sized place, and that would be worth more when we sell it for the town. It's an investment.
Mm-hmm.
That would seem reasonable.
Yeah,
How long have we had this property as the town?
quite a while. So as soon as it's in any kind of shape to sell, we can put it on the market, and it would be great to get it on the market for the spring buying spree.
Definitely.
Yep, I would agree with that.
So, okay, so this has to be a motion. I would move to give the okay to Josh Dow to go ahead and put some plywood and tar paper up on the back of the shed at 17 Mount Vernon. Is it 18 Mount Vernon?
18.
18 Mount Vernon, at the cost of which should be in the neighborhood of $500.
I'll second that.
Okay, any more discussion?
I know we had talked briefly before, but where is the funding for the cleanup and this now repair coming from?
Oh, I think that was a good question when you first asked it, Dave.
Wouldn't it be town buildings because it is a town building
Well, it is a town building now.
and it will.
You know, I mean, we can hit the town buildings, but I don't think there's really much wiggle room. Come June, we wouldn't have any money. I was going to suggest the contingency like we did on the getting rid of the property on Dustin Road.
Do we have money in that account?
The contingency?
Yeah.
Well, of course, the voters haven't voted yet.
Yeah, so the problem with the contingency is that it is a warrant article that needs to pass
Yeah.
before it exists at
Yeah.
all. Whereas if it's from someplace in the budget, we have it, at least in one form or another.
Well, I
Well-
suppose we could take it out of building maintenance in the buildings line.
Yeah, I'm looking at that repair and maintenance.
Yeah.
So his fee to us is going to be probably about what is remaining in that budget when the roof is considered.
Keep in mind, there is no remaining because that was last year.
Oh, okay.
What is our proposed budget for that?
It's 8,000.
8,000, which matches.
Oh.
And there was about 3,000 listed as still in it at the end of last year.
Oh,
Um,
well, then that might not be as bad as I was thinking.
That's specific to town hall. No, that's highway building maintenance. I don't see any, but is there a CRF or an ETF that maybe I'm not noticing that this might fit under? It looks like those, or at least the ones I'm seeing, are specific to like the public safety
Yeah.
building or town hall or highway building.
Well,
So we've got municipal property maintenance there on the page that says funding for warrant articles.
Yes.
And-
ETFs.
Yeah, sorry. With a balance of 7635 in it. But we didn't put anything in it for 21. So we
What
might
are we
consider-
expecting the total bill of this to be again? Like 2,000 something plus
was-
the 500 something?
That's right. So that it's going to be about $3,200.
Okay. Can we check to make sure that like what that municipal property maintenance is? Oh, I don't see Dana right there. Oh, I still got the monitor on. Sorry. There we go.
Dana, do you know what on the page on
Funding
the
for
on the-
warrant articles, municipal property maintenance, what that expendable trust fund will allow? Would this be able to be covered in that?
okay, bear with me a second. I had to go get my other computer because I'm having a few technical problems of which I've caused myself.
That's the first thing I realized about myself that when I wake up in the morning. Oh my God, I'm already having technical problems.
Okay.
So,
All right. I want to bring the budget in front of me and I can't bring it up.
you want me to send it to you?
No, I
If you let
have
me
it.
share, I can display it.
It's just, here it is. Okay.
Dee, I sent you the budget so that you would have a copy of it for your computer there
Yeah.
this
Wait a
afternoon.
What was the question? I'm sorry, I'm now in it.
The
So-
question is municipal property maintenance on funding for warrant articles on line 10. Municipal property maintenance.
Expendable
Yeah.
trust fund. Would
Yeah.
we be able to use that for this, or what is that supposed to cover if not?
Well, I'd really have to look and see how that ETF got set up. But it certainly is, and again, I don't know what the balance is in it because I don't have that in front of me.
It's,
The balance in the spreadsheet is 7635. but we were also not proposing to add anything to it.
Oh, all right. I see. I
So-
didn't go far enough.
If we can use it, I would propose that we use it and add, say, 2,500 to it.
Well, I think, I don't know if you have, if you can use it, that would be a place to come from. Otherwise, I don't know where else you take it other than out of the building budget,
Okay.
government buildings.
So, well, we know this isn't necessarily, so ETF, CRFs, the way we've been using them as a town has been to save up for something that is eventual. This
Yeah.
isn't really eventual. This is standard, like what we expect
Right.
this year.
Right.
So maybe it makes more sense to raise the repairs and maintenance of government buildings.
Well, you still could do that, yes.
So instead of the like 8,000,
Yeah,
we make it
because we
10,000.
hadn't really planned for this.
Right. But we could put it there.
Yeah, and that was my first suggestion. So
And so the reason I ask is because if we were going to do it from like an ETF or CRF, et cetera, then when it came time to pay, we would have to be making a motion for the trustees of trust funds, as opposed to just approving a check payment.
okay,
But I think if we're going to do it from repairs and maintenance, I think that makes sense then. And so we can do it from there, and we'll just have to increase that in the budget based on the amount that we're expecting here. So though we didn't use all of it. So is there any specific larger amount we're expecting
Not,
for this year?
no, not really.
Dana, if we clean the gutters out of the town hall, which is something that desperately needs to be done,
Yeah,
I think the gutters should just be removed, period, and then we wouldn't have that issue. But that's something that definitely needs to be done.
right.
So that would come out of that, correct?
That's right. Yeah.
It could come out of there. We also have a couple different
That might be something
town
you
hall
could use
improvements
for
thing if
municipal
we're actually
buildings.
pulling it off. Municipal property maintenance would definitely fall under that.
Yeah,
So we have a couple different places we could take that from if that was to push this line item over.
Mm-hmm.
I think we should probably, based on what I'm seeing sitting here, and knowing that we want to do that, I think it would probably make sense to bump this to say 10,000 instead of the 8,000 that we had and we're suggesting again, which should be able to then cover this plus either or the gutters or the cupola or some painting. And then
Well,
we can
don't
use
forget, there's going to be more on this property, I think, because the inside, I don't know what the condition of the inside is. Steve, you've been in there.
I have. As long as the inside is just gutted, I would leave it. I wouldn't do any repairs to it because whoever's going to go in is going to have to gut the whole building anyway. Whoever
Oh, okay.
purchases is going to have to.
Okay.
I wouldn't put the money into it.
How about over on Pennacook Circle?
Same way.
Are we going to have to, is there going to be cleanup, do you think?
I'd have to check and see exactly how much is there. I don't think it's that bad. It's a small area. The problem's going to be is inside the house. I don't know what kind of, if you saw the pictures of what the inside of the house looked like, it
I have
makes
not
this,
seen those.
oh boy, it makes this house look like the Taj Mahal.
Oh my God.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, yeah, it is really, really bad.
So Dave, I'm bringing that up because I think actually $10,000 is a good idea. And we might be able to get the gutters done. I don't know about the painting. I think we should hold off on thinking about that, but
I'm just trying to think of, we should be able to cover at least one of those three projects in addition to this stuff from that 10,000. And if we were to go beyond that, we do have CRFs and ETFs that could, in theory, pull the rest if we were to do, say, two of those projects. So
what you have to keep in mind is we will get all this money back the minute the property's sold. So it's
Right.
not a total loss. It will come back to us.
That's what I was
it will come back as
Yeah.
revenue, but it doesn't change how the
Right.
budget is looked at, because the expenditures are what they care about, even though we do get offset from the revenues. So, but yeah, okay. So let's shift that repairs and maintenance up to the 10,000. And I'm sitting at it, so I'll do that in the SharePoint one right now. And then we already have the motion on the table. So is there any other discussion for it?
I would actually add to the motion
Okay.
that the money should come from the general government buildings account under repairs and maintenance.
And I'll second that again with the amendment.
Okay, so all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, great, thank you. And
Chris, I'm sorry, but I didn't see, did you send the budget to my real email, or I didn't get anything from you today?
oh, I didn't send it to your home email. I didn't do that. Doggone it. I sent it to your town email. Can you get into that town email?
I don't know.
Well, okay.
Hang
I
on.
think you've had trouble with that because you don't have Outlook. You definitely need a little computer. Once you've got a little computer, once you go down and grab that.
Yeah. Okay.
Dana, does that little computer have Outlook on it, and is it ready to go for her?
Well, she has a computer, doesn't she?
I don't
Yes,
think it
I
has
did.
Outlook on it, no. But Dee, I'm going to email, I have the budget. I'm going to email that to you now.
At
To
Boss Webvine?
Yeah, that's what I was just going to do.
Yeah, that one. Yeah,
All
that's
right. BOS at WEBVINE.
No.
BOS like Sam, WEB Vine VINE like grapevine at
All one word.
.com.
All right. I'm sorry. Once again.
Boss BOS like Boswin, Web WEB like Webster, Vine like grapevine VINE.
Oh,
at
okay.
Juno JUNO.com.
Okay. Sorry. Juno.com.
Your computer is online, is it not? Or
Right
is it
now,
only your iPad?
I'm on my iPad. I'm talking to you on my iPad.
Right, but your computer itself is online, correct?
It is. Yeah.
Okay.
I just turned it on.
So we should actually, I mean, as long as
Oh,
you've
wait.
got a web browser on it, we should be able to get you into SharePoint so that you can do this in the future.
I am lost on any of that. Sorry about that. So all right, Dana, did you send that to me? Don't see it.
Oh, it's coming soon. Coming to an email near you. I'm having problems myself.
I'll tell you, I'm lost in space down here because I have a cliff behind me sometimes, and it just
Okay.
messes things up, I guess. I don't know.
All right, here we go. Now let's do this again. And it's gone.
It's gone.
Mhm.
You're
Yeah.
good.
And I sent it to just in case, so.
All right.
Go ahead,
Well, I
Maureen.
got the last thing you sent me, David, so. Let's see. Come on there. Let's.
So those, while we're waiting for that to happen, those photographs of the other property on Pennacook, where did those go? I never saw them.
I have them and I can send them to you, Chris.
Okay, I would appreciate that.
Yeah.
Can I bring up the other thing that I wanted to just talk briefly about? Is everybody
Yes.
okay with that?
Yeah. Go ahead.
It has to do with Olivewood. So I'm happy to hear that they're going to support our legal expenses. They appear to be also willing to support our wetland scientist. Dom and I talked again this afternoon, and he suggested that if we are going to consider Rick to be our independent evaluator for the wetland work that GZA is doing for Olivewood, then why don't we have Rick contact Olivewood and they will loop Rick into the wetland work when that is done and they're very near to completion. And that way, when we have the public hearing for Olivewood, which I forget when that is. Don't we have?
I don't see anything marked on my.
I don't think we have another public
Yeah, I
hearing
don't
set
think
up.
we have anything scheduled for that. Yeah.
Okay.
We
Okay.
we were expecting mid-February to get their report, which included the wetland stuff and the revised design for where the panels and stuff would be.
Right.
But we didn't have as far as I'm aware, we did not have a setup for another public hearing.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I don't have anything in there for February. So, rather than have Rick sit through the public hearing meeting where he might want to take issue with some of Olivewood's findings, why not bring Rick in before the hearing so that he can do his evaluation then, which seems to make sense.
Yeah, it sounds good to me.
That sounds like a sensible way to do it. My question would be for the processes. What are we doing as far as process for how Olivewood is being contacted about all these different things? Because I thought everything was going through Dana. And second, when, how, and what do we get for signed documents saying they are actually paying for all of this? Because we should not do anything until they have signed that they're paying.
Oh, of course. Yeah. So Dana, when you were talking to Dom,
I was going to draw something up, but he had asked me for an estimate of what we were going to spend, and that's what I'm having an issue. I'd like to know what it is so I could talk to him about it, so I can kind of, I don't know whether I'm going to incorporate it in the thing, but I just want to see what they're willing to do and what they're willing to sign. And I guess if we're going to add Rick to this, I would need to have an idea of what we might expect for expenses from Rick.
Well, he's already given us a heads up on that. His cost would be about $5,000.
Okay.
And if we're doing studies at the same time, it would make sense to then look at somebody like Skip for an economic and tax impact study. And he probably has a fee that he charges for it that he can tell you, but.
Yeah.
He better not charge us a fee.
I'm thinking
that would definitely be a feed service. But that would be one of those things where if we're asking Olivewood to cover stuff, we should ask them to cover that too.
Yeah. We shouldn't have any out-of-pocket expenses.
No. Well, I've got I don't know about legal expenses, but $10,000 doesn't seem to be enough.
For legal?
Yeah, so I'm thinking, I mean, I'm just trying to come up with a total that we should be really talking to Dom about. Without scaring him off.
Were you able to get hold of Debbie?
No, I was not, and I did call this afternoon. She is not in today, but I've left a message. I just was interested. I had half thought of maybe emailing Doug Patch and ask him what he might expect, but of course, it would cost us money if I did that.
Yeah.
But maybe it would be money well spent. I'm not sure, but.
Well, Doug's, we hired Doug to review the MOU,
Yes,
correct?
yes.
I mean, I think that's what we had talked about initially. And, you know, we didn't ask him to come to that board meeting. It was nice that
No.
he did, but, you know, there you go.
No, I was under the impression that he was there because he wanted to get the background on it. So I certainly didn't tell him not to come, but.
Right. And then any SEC work, I mean, I think that the biggest part of his, I think that the main reason that I, speaking for myself, was interested in him is because of his SEC background.
Yeah.
Got a lot more than John does. And
Oh, it's no doubt he's qualified. I'm just,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, and of course, when he was working on the Fitzwilliam project, he was working for Olivewood.
He was on the other side, yes.
Right. So,
What was that, Olivewood? I thought that was a different company.
well, I think they called it Chinook Energy,
Chinook, yeah.
but it's the same. They all work for Next Gen. Well, part of that. So, and I don't know what their issues were, and I don't even know if Debbie would be able to give us an idea on that.
Well, why don't you give me another day? So see if I can get any information. I will have a conversation with Dom and see if we can come up with, and what kind of wiggle room we have with it. As far as if we go over the amount approved, how do we handle that?
Uh-huh. Well, I think Dom should have a pretty fair idea what the
Well,
cost of these, you know,
That's what I'm thinking.
he knows the range. Every town
Yeah.
is different, and
Yeah.
every situation is different. So I think we may be looking at slightly different issues, for example, regarding where that substation is going to be. There's no houses around, so noise, I don't think, is going to be an issue from that. Whereas in other towns, it very well could be.
Sure. I mean, he knows that, I mean, he's talked to you about Rick, so he knows that. He's tentatively agreed to cover the legal costs, and so we just need to know what we're expecting for costs. What he doesn't know is the piece with Sanssouci, but I will add that in.
Okay, I think it's a really important part.
Yeah. I had hoped to talk to Debbie so I'd have a better idea of how much time we spent, but maybe, do you know who their attorney was? Does that?
You mean Fitzwilliams?
Fitzwilliams. I don't know if it was mentioned. I'll find out. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
So, okay.
Good try. Yeah.
So yeah, so we'll take this up next Monday then.
Okay. I'll let you know what I find.
Okay. So so we have a guest tonight at our work session. Hi, Steve.
Hi, how are you?
Great. How are you?
I'm good.
So what's up?
So, the accident on the cruiser, I spoke to the adjuster this afternoon.
Mm.
He sent to Primex that the car is a total loss.
Mm.
Our problem is, if we were to order a cruiser today, we're looking at 14 to 16 weeks before it arrives. If we run, because right now they're running my car, so they're running my car 104 hours a week, not including the hours that I drive it. If we wait 16 weeks, that's 11,648 hours of driving time on that car. It's got 100,000 miles on it. It will never make it a year from March. I've got to do something and get an okay from you people that we can get a car on order. Otherwise, we're gonna end up with one car broken down the minute we get one in. I believe that we have enough money. We're not sure what we're going to get from the insurance company. That's what I was trying to get out of Primex. He sent his report to Primex on Thursday. They haven't reported back on anything. But what I
He
did
sent it
find
on
out,
Thursday?
he sent it on Thursday. At least that's what he told me.
Okay, they told me today he hadn't submitted it.
Okay, I'll call him back tomorrow and tell him they didn't get it because he said he sent it to them on Thursday.
I was gonna call Primex and say, what's the story?
So one of the department I worked for last had a totaled cruiser 3 weeks ago. Primex worked out a deal so that they're going to pay for the complete interior, all the new equipment. They're going to pay for it in their new cruiser because the old cruiser's equipment won't fit it. So
Same as us.
I'm sorry.
That's the same as us.
I'm hoping that's exactly what they're going to do for us. So you're looking at $8,000 worth of equipment that they're going to cover above and beyond.
Mm.
Plus, they'll pay to strip the car, which is another $1,000. So we're looking at least $9,000 that they're going to pick up on above and beyond. And I'm figuring that we should get, I'm hoping $24,000 to $26,000 for the cruiser. We found a place in Massachusetts because if we order it from Grapponi's, that's 14 to 16 weeks before the car even comes in. There's a place in Massachusetts that has them in stock, exactly what our cruiser is, for $33,833.35. That is $200 less than we paid Grapponi's for our car last year.
Mm.
And they will do a 90-day billing on us. But I got to get all the specifics from them. I know Northfield is going down to pick one up Friday. So they purchased one to take care of their cruiser, but I want to get all the information from Primex first on exactly what they're going to pay us, how much they're going to pay us, and if they're going to cover all the equipment on the inside.
Well, you are doing your homework. I'm impressed.
Well, I can't dilly-dally on this because if we get another broken down car, we are in deep trouble.
Yeah.
Right.
And if they say that there's no other way but 16 weeks or 18 weeks, I'm going to approach Primex and say, we should be able to get a rental because they rent cruises. If we can get a rental cruiser paid for by the other guy's insurance company, I'll say, take your time and we'll get a rental cruiser. And they can foot the bill for that. So that's another thing I'm looking into if we have to.
Is
Does
there?
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I just wondered if there was, if there was any advantage in dealing with Grapponi if there's one that's available right now in Massachusetts.
Really no advantage. The insurance, I mean, if there is a problem with the cruiser, any dealership will take care of it. Warranty is a warranty.
Okay.
The cruiser that we have now, my cruiser, we have a 100,000 mile warranty on it, which will run out within the next couple of weeks. So I really don't want to kill that car. I want to try and limp it along because it's in good shape right now. I don't want to lose it so that we have to pay money that we shouldn't have to.
Steve, can we get an extended warranty on it?
They usually don't do extended warranties on cruises over 100,000 miles because of how we use them and that they run so often.
Mm,
Now that's 100,000 miles on the speedometer, but if you go idling time, it's more like 170. I think I figured it out at 178 or 179,000 miles on that engine.
mm.
And if we lose a motor, we're looking at $6,000 to $7,000 to replace it.
Steve,
and-
regardless of the insurance, you're gonna need a car.
Absolutely. We're going to need one no matter what.
Yeah.
So,
And I guess my big question is, if I can get them to do a 90-day billing, can we order a car?
yes, in my view,
Um,
yes.
We won't get billed. We won't have to, the bill won't come true for 90 days.
So,
Now, oh, I just have a question there. There's no penalty for us going to do any work in buy a car from Massachusetts, is there?
No penalty at all because it's a government. And if you purchase a car in Massachusetts, you don't pay any tax or
Oh, yeah,
anything
I
because
knew
we're
that.
residents.
Yeah, I
Um,
just wondered if
and-
somehow there was, who knows? I mean, it shouldn't be that way, but you never know how government works sometimes.
So we're buying, Massachusetts has the same thing as New Hampshire. They have a state bid. So we buy it at their state bid. And
Oh,
when I talk to this place, it's CMG Colonial Municipal Group, and they have 120 cars in stock waiting to be sold to any police department that wants them. So they keep a huge inventory, and that's
Wow.
all they do this for a living. That's what they do.
so,
And
so,
then we have a lot of Massachusetts departments purchased from there.
so I have a process question.
Yes.
If it's a 90-day billing, that puts us to April, I think,
Yes.
February, March, April.
Yeah.
Suppose our town meeting doesn't take place until May or June. So we haven't gotten any money approved for 21 yet.
We won't need that for this because this money, we should have the money that we get from the insurance company. We should have, oh my God, I'm trying to think the account that it could come out of. There's a contingency fund for things like this. I'm hoping Dana can tell me. Plus, we
Well-
have in our detail line, the money that we've earned from our detail, we have $2,700 or $2,800, so we can alleviate that money and put that in there also.
Okay, so that's money in the detail account by itself, right?
Right,
Yeah.
but we have a capital reserve for this also, I believe, right?
You do.
So we have a police cruiser capital reserve fund, which looks like it's got a little over 9,000 in it. We've got a police vehicle maintenance, which has a little over 9,000 in it. But things like the contingency fund don't actually exist at this point because
Okay.
that would have ceased at the end of the year, and we haven't voted in. That's
The new one.
that's a warrant article, so we don't get that until the warrant is approved.
Right. So it's all going to come down to numbers. What I have to find out is from Primex, what they're going to pay, what they're going to cover, and what our actual cost is to bring it back up to where it is, to where we need it.
And part of that question would also be generally like a payment from a Primex or something would go into revenue.
Yeah.
And then we would have to still fund it out of someplace in the budget or a CRF.
Yeah.
But if they were to be paying for the cruiser or the replacement equipment, for example, directly, then which can happen with normal insurance companies at points in time.
Yep.
Then we might be able to get around that. But that seems like we still need to find where to put this for budgeting purposes. Dana, correct me if I'm wrong here.
Yeah, I think you'd have to find somewhere in the budget to take it out of. It would be offset in the revenues. Although you can't cancel the expense with the revenue.
Mhm.
You've got some there's a police equipment CRF. You said that you had heard that they would cover all the equipment.
That's what they're doing for Northfield, so I'm assuming they're gonna do that for us also.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that what's going to happen is I certainly can call Primex tomorrow because I have the guy's name who is in charge of our case.
Right.
Unless you'd like to, I can give you his name if you'd like to speak with him.
I think that's the same person that you gave me their phone number today.
Probably, yeah.
Okay. I'll check on my notes, and if it's there, if not, I'll be happy to talk to him. You got
Okay.
an awful
Well,
lot.
if since the appraiser told you that he had turned that in, but they told me today he hadn't. But it could be an issue with the holiday or something, I suppose.
Right.
But I think that the fact is we are going to have to find an account for this to come out of. Hopefully less than we think, but
how much more are we expecting the cruiser to be than what the payment would likely be?
Well, that's the hard part. We have no idea what they're actually going to pay for our cruiser. Now, our cruiser should be a fairly high market value because it's an 18 with only 26,000 miles on it. So I'm going to push for, but because they go by Blue Book value also.
yeah.
If we get $24,000, we're looking at $9,000, almost $10,000 because the new car is $33,833.
Do we get any money from the guy that hit the cruiser? Is that, or
Oh,
he doesn't have insurance?
I think we go after his insurance company for the loss.
Yeah.
Um,
Did he have insurance?
yeah, he had it was a 2020 Honda Accord, so it's a brand new car,
Jeez, whatever possessed him?
and it was his father's car. I can tell you that we did a search warrant on the car on Saturday morning, and found quite a few drugs. We found a stolen loaded handgun in the back seat,
Oh,
stolen out of Concord, and pry bars, bolt cutters, and all kinds of burglary tools in the trunk with all kinds of cartons of cigarettes and other stuff that they hit someplace. We just got to find out where.
shit.
God, now was that the suspected felony guy?
Yeah, that was him. He was a felon. That's what they were looking for him. And I find out from state police that they've been chasing him for 2 months now and haven't been able to catch him because he outruns all their cruises. And they just chased him less than a week ago. And this pursuit that they were in started in Woodstock, New Hampshire, and went all the way down to here.
And leave it to Jordan to catch him.
And he comes to, why does he come to Webster? What is here? I don't understand. I just don't understand it. I think it's for the social activity, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So if we're looking at the roughly 9,000 or so, we have 9,000 and change sitting already in the police cruiser capital reserve fund. And so we wouldn't need, and combining that with the 9,000 or so in police vehicle maintenance, there's probably some sort of case to be made to be able to pull some out of that towards this. We again, like Dana would have to look at it specifically to make sure there's a way to legally pull from that fund, but both of those have a bit over 9,000 in them. So in theory, we could actually cover the cost of the cruiser once ordered and billed. If they will cover a rental cruiser, I would highly recommend going that route as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Because A, it puts the wear and tear on a car that's not ours, and B, you get it immediately.
Right. Yeah, it comes fully equipped. All we have to do is put a radio in it, which is an hour and a half to 2 hour swap. That's it, which would be a great idea.
So
I'm
that's
going
what
to
I
push
would
for
love to see.
And I believe that the maintenance fund is our best bet, only because that was basically in case something, if we lost a motor or a transmission in one of our cruises, that's what that fund would cover. And thank God we've had real good luck with everything in our cars.
At a minimum, that should be able to be used towards like the radio or in a rental or something like that. But we've got that little over 9,000 in the police cruiser fund. And so if we used that plus, something out of your budget, that would probably have to be overspent, but.
Well, I have almost $3,000, I think, in the detail, which is a revolving fund that we use for equipment.
Right.
So I think combining all of those, that should allow us to pay for what the expected difference of the cruiser is.
Right.
So as long as that's actually the case, I think we can do that and then just up the amount that we would suggest to go into the police cruiser CRF over the next couple of years to help put that back in.
See, the good thing would be, so we'll have two 2021 cruises. So we replace a car a year from March, we'll have two 2021 cars and a 22 car. We can skip the next year, which we have, I don't know if we've ever done that. We can skip a cruiser for the year after that. There'd be no need to buy one. We have 3 cars with very low mileage on them. So we could skip the year after that, which that's what I'm hoping to do.
But we would still have to be making up the amount in there, because at some point in time, you'd then need a 2 in a year, most likely.
I think the way we stagger them out, we can probably still get away, because
Okay.
they're going to be real low mileage. But if we put half of what we normally do in there to cover, so we'd have another car after skipping a year, it would still cut the budget down overall, at least 1 full year.
Okay. So I think that's a good solid plan for us, as long as they're actually covering what we're hoping and thinking they will.
Well, we're going to push them tomorrow, so hopefully I'll have an answer for you come Monday.
Sounds good.
That would make me happy. I know that.
Speaking of budgetary stuff, I had run into Jordan and asked him, and he said you'd already looked into this with things like the mandate for the state police, not necessarily all of the town police, but the state police and body cameras and that sort of thing. What are your thoughts on that, and or what does that look like? I believe there's probably grants and stuff for that as well.
Well, there's always been a highway safety grant, which is a 50-50 grant. And I bought, I don't know, probably 6 cameras through the highway safety at a 50-50 grant. Even 50-50 grant at $2,500, because they're $5,000 to $7,000, depending on which unit you get. So I may have a deal where Axion, so I'm looking at 2 different companies. Axion is one, and the other company is WatchGuard, which I've had numerous experience with. But supposedly Axion, and it's been out there for quite a while, that they have I can get a 50-50 grant for them, plus they'll kick in a percentage of it. So I have one of the representatives that are going to come see me, and he's going to give us one to try, and then we're going to see if we can work out some kind of numbers, and I'll look what other funding we can get. If state police is mandated, then the state's going to provide the funding for it all. I'm hoping that we can jump on that tailgate and hopefully get ours funded too.
And are these for body cams?
They have both. They have body cams and they have cruiser cameras. They have a new camera system that you can use your body camera as a cruiser camera. So that's the one I want to look at to see how that works. Because I know the cruiser cameras saved me from 3 full lawsuits on 3 deaths from pursuits that had been called off, and the town gets sued 3 different times, and the camera proved that the pursuit had been terminated, and he came upon the accident afterwards. So in my mind, in the long run, it's going to be a savings grace if we just get 1 lawsuit. So it'll be worth it, I think, in our books.
Mhm.
So do you have from us what you need at this point, Steve? Or are you going to?
I won't, okay, for the
You need to
cruiser,
know
I
from
won't-
Primex.
yeah, I got to get from Primex exactly what they're going to pay.
Mhm.
I'll contact Colonial and find out the dollar amount, the billing cycle and everything from them. And it's all up to Primex on what they're going to pay. And I'll try and find that out tomorrow.
Okay, great.
And we still don't know the insurance company of the car that hit Jordan. So I'm hoping to go after them for any over expenditures that we have to pay out of our pocket.
So our next meeting is next Monday.
Right.
So do we, can you wait until next Monday?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Okay, good.
The good thing about that place in Massachusetts is if I called them today, tomorrow morning, and I went down there, I could pick the car up and bring it right home.
Wow, that's terrific.
So there's no wait, no nothing. That's the blessing. The only bad part is waiting for all the components on the inside of the cruiser to come in.
And how long will that take?
Probably 2 to 3 weeks. We can skimp along for 2 to 3 weeks if we had to, but the faster we go, the better off we are. And the minute that I hear from Primex that it's a go and they're going to pick up the tab, we'll call and order the exact same stuff that we just ordered for our last cruiser.
Well, I'm wondering if we could make a motion contingent upon, what you learned from Primex.
I almost think I'd wait till Monday.
Okay.
If it comes, I'd wait till Monday. There's no need to. Let's get all our numbers and all our ducks in a row so we know exactly where we are and what we're talking about. If it comes down to a disaster, well, then we can all hit a quick Zoom meeting, or we can just go by emails.
And help me out here again. What is the rough cost of the cruiser and equipment installed as a total?
Around 43,000.
Okay, thank you.
And I guess that's all the bad news I have for you.
Sounds pretty it could be a lot worse.
It could be a lot worse.
How is
Really
Jordan?
good. He's good. He's real good. He came back to work and is already saying, okay, where's my new car? So he's
He's such
excited.
a brat.
Oh, there's no doubt about
He said, I
that.
finally got myself out of this car and now I'm back in it.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Well, Steve, good luck finding all that stuff out.
Okay, I will get all the information I can, and if I don't talk to you beforehand, I'll see you on Monday.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. You guys have a great night.
Thanks. We will.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Where's my?
Unless we spilled it.
Yeah.
No, that's out of the dishwasher.
So Dana, are you taking the notes for tonight?
I am.
Oh, okay.
And Russ has got it recording.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm just having a dishwasher problem.
You mean a wife problem or a dishwasher problem?
A machine problem. She's in this room, so I'm not going to say anything. She's lovely. She's used to me too. Maybe this is a good time. I'd like to ask on the picture contest for the town report.
Yeah.
I got your suggestion, Chris, and we changed it.
You changed what?
I got your suggestion about the
Okay.
wording,
Thank you.
and I just wanted to check with the board that you're okay for us to put that on the website soliciting a picture for the town report cover.
I love the idea.
I do too.
I really like the idea. Can you read what the text is now?
Okay. So if you're okay with it, I'll ask Russ to put it on tomorrow.
I'm definitely okay.
Chris fell out of her chair.
What is the text of that right now? Like how does it read now? Because I don't think I saw an update.
Dave, I don't have it in front of me. I will send it to you tomorrow.
Okay.
Let me know if any suggestions. And Dee, I'll send it to you as well because it was changed slightly.
Okay, thank you.
Go on.
Now I better write that down so I don't forget.
Didn't I send it to you in my, is it different than what I suggested?
No.
Oh.
We went with what you suggested.
Okay. The suggestion I was going to make about the dedication, have I told you guys what my idea is?
You sent that in an email, yes.
Okay.
And I agree.
Oh, okay. Dee?
I do
you
too. Good idea. Yep.
Okay. Unfortunately, we've got to get a picture of these people. And so, of course, I think they're meeting tonight from 6 to 8. So I think what I'm going to do is find out when their next meeting, and I'm going to go down and take a picture of them under the auspices of, chocolate. Thank you. You're welcome. Under the auspices, she just brought me some chocolate. This was quite an election year and all of that, and so we wanted to include a picture of them in the town warrant, and not say anything about the dedication. Just throw a picture in there of them.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
So they won't suspect a thing, right?
Just make sure we have the names of everybody in that picture.
Right. And then I've got to figure out what I'm going to write about them. I'll write something for us.
Okay.
Pretty nice.
All right.
Where's my
I look
candy?
forward to seeing that so that we can formally approve the whole thing.
Sure.
That should be great.
Dana, I was looking at the town warrant from last year, and the way that you've got the budgets set up here, I think is good. I'm wondering how that's going to translate to our annual report.
Do you want it to be in the same form? I assume you want it to be in the same format as it has been previously.
Yes. I'd go
Okay.
for the same.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think it would be quite easy. I would just take each category and go down. Basically, I set this worksheet up from that report that was in the town report.
Okay.
So I was just going to list it in the same way, in the same format.
Okay.
And I think it tells you, well, we'd have 2020 and the amount spent in 2020, and then we'd have the proposed 21. I think there's only 3 columns.
Now, are you talking about the warrant as 1, 2, and 3 in that way, or were you talking more about the budget broken down? I thought we were talking about the warrant articles, the way they're set up.
Oh, I was talking about the operating budget, but I would think you'd want the warrant articles set up the same way as well.
Oh yeah, no, that's what I was thinking. Because this makes town meeting go by very well. And
Right.
In the past, it hasn't done that. So
Yeah.
if it broke, don't fix it.
Let's see. So we'll have for warrant, for basically the stuff, we'll have the one that is the general municipal operations budget.
Which is the
so there's 1 which is the reporting by ballot of the election, 2 which is the budget, 3 which is CRFs, 4 which is ETFs, and 5 would be the Pillsbury Dam bond.
No, 5 in this One is the
Oh, sorry. Yeah, 5 is their contingency fund in
contingency
this
fund.
one.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just thinking of the ones that we would actually be doing. And 6 would be, so then 6 would be the dam. So we would be looking at a total of about 6, because we're not going to be doing things like reorganizing the conservation funds and
No.
stuff like that,
Yeah,
because that already
right.
happened. We don't need to do that again.
No, right, of course.
And the other stuff like the mobile communications or establishing CRFs, we're not establishing anything new, and we're not going for like a washer dryer or anything. So at least at this point, it looks like we're going to be at about 6 total things on our warrant.
Well, that's okay. I go for that.
That's a
That'd
beautiful
be
thing.
really nice and slim. I like it.
Yeah. I mean, let's face it. I can tell you, 50 years I lived in this town, we never had a 1-hour town meeting ever. Because originally it was on Tuesday nights like most other towns, but because people like to really go through everything, we'd be still there at 11 o'clock. So anyway, that's why they have it on Saturdays now. But 1 hour is great.
I had a question about, no, it's gone. It's gone. Oh, no. Tell me again, just remind me again about the contingency fund, Dave. Why?
So, okay, what do you want to know about it?
Well, no, go ahead. I don't know why we're not having a contingency fund.
So the contingency fund comes from the unsigned fund balance. And the only way that you can get that money and get it to exist is by warrant article. So that fund does not exist until it is funded by the warrant article,
Yeah.
and it ends at the end of the year. So
No, I
our
understand all that.
previous one is gone. We don't have one now because we don't have an approved and voted for warrant.
Well, we approved it last year, but that
Yes.
last year is gone.
Correct.
So why aren't we asking for a contingency fund for this coming year?
We are, but it will be one of the warrant articles. And so
Those
we
warrant
won't have the funding until the warrant article is approved.
No, I understand that, but number 5 from last year was to establish a contingency fund.
Yes.
Oh, I thought you said that we're not going to do that this year.
No.
No, you have the same
We
one.
have that as well. I had just said 5 as the Pillsbury Lake thing because I had known that off the top of my head. But yeah, so it looks like a total of 6 articles. So if that's 5, and then the Pillsbury Lake bond is 6. Because we're just funding
Right.
ETFs and CRFs and the budget.
Okay,
and so on.
good. That makes sense then. Okay.
Unless somebody has a warrant article, they bring by petition.
Yes.
Speaking of that, has anybody heard whether anybody's applied to be a select board person?
I haven't.
I think the period doesn't start until tomorrow to the 29th.
20th, right, 20th.
Okay. Oh, good.
Yeah.
Yep, 20th to 29th.
Okay. So we want to spend the rest of our time here on the budget, and I had a question. If you guys wouldn't mind going to funding for warrant articles under capital reserve funds.
Yeah.
Under line 18, highway land and building fund.
Yeah.
So here's what I'm wondering. I think that it's reasonable that in the next year, we will be paying a certain amount of money for engineering for the road. And we're hoping that Emmett can do the work. And Emmett had his work, his part of it planned in 3 different sections. And he said that his work would come in total under $10,000. That is still going to leave $90-some thousand in that building fund. So I think that I would like to propose that we do not propose any money for that, for this year. I don't think we're going to need it for this year. And if we want to keep a sort of a placeholder, then let's put 10,000 instead of 35 in there. And then next year, the next phase is going to be to get a template for a salt shed, as well as to break through the stone wall and begin to rough out how we're going to use the land. But now there's an issue with an endangered species
Oh,
on that land,
what is it?
the black racer.
Black racer is a snake.
It is a snake.
Ah,
It is a cool, wonderful snake. And there's a whole den of them over on Call Road. And
wow.
and New Hampshire Fish and Game found out about it. And then they found out that they don't think that they're denning on this McAllen piece, but they think that because it's perfect shrub habitat, that they could be using it as part of their just moving about. So in the spring, a guy from New Hampshire Fish and Game is going to come out, and a bunch of us are going to go into the field and look for black racers. And so this could be the most fun any of us have
like
clothes on for a long time. So I would invite whoever. But so therefore, what I'm trying to say in a sort of a long-winded way is, I think in the next year, we're not going to do much more than get the road in to up there. And that's, I don't think that's even going to include paving that road. So I guess we'd have to meet with I'd have to meet with the salt shed committee to see what they say about this. But I think that we can get away with asking the town for less than $35,000.
I think that would be a good idea.
I think it would be a good idea too. Dave, I see you're hovering. Or is
So
that Dana that's hovering?
I'm not doing anything.
No, Dana.
Oh, Dana.
Oh, yeah, no, that's mine.
No.
That's just sitting there because I clicked on the thing when you said it that you were talking about it. I guess the question is more or less, how much do we expect that? And obviously, it's really hard to estimate, but what are we expecting for like a total output once we build the salt shed? Because obviously there's the road, there's the engineering, there's the salt shed itself.
Yeah.
And I would much rather put 35,000 in now and next year and the year after than 10,000 now and then have to do 60 or 70,000 for the next 2 years.
Well, we haven't talked about our timeline yet, so we don't know when we're expecting to get all of this done. Because the road is really the single biggest thing. And then of course it's the salt shed. So, and we don't know how much the salt shed's going to cost. I don't know what Emmett is thinking, whether he's thinking one as big as Hopkinton's, which he seems to admire very much.
I don't think we need one as big as Hopkinton. We're only a third of the size.
Right.
So,
But planning for the future, everybody's always planning for the future.
Well, and the one that we have now doesn't house all of the sand or salt that we use through the year. So we should at least try to find a size that will handle an expected amount for a year.
Yeah.
is this going to be a wooden shed, or is it going to be like a metal frame with a plastic top?
That's what Emmett wants, a Quonset hut kind of thing.
Yeah, Quonset hut, because I've seen those quite a few. Matter of fact, they have a partial Quonset hut down in Pennacook off Crescent Street, which I don't know what they're using it for, storing equipment, I think, but it's kind of interesting looking. So those can't be too expensive, I wouldn't think.
I wouldn't think so. And the main problem with our current salt shed is that the force of the tractor pushing the salt and the sand back and then scooping it up, pushing it
Yeah.
back, scooping, has knocked out the back, it's knocked out the back wall in some places, really weakened it. With a Quonset hut, you would just load the salt and the sand in there
Yes.
and not be pushing against anything. So, I think as part of our next meeting, we could ask people to work on estimates that they might be able to get for different kinds of,
Buildings.
sorry.
Well,
Yeah.
I know that I get every once in a while, I get these farm things and they have all kinds of size. And then they'll try it at the end of the year. They want to sell off a lot of stuff too. So I'm sure Emmett knows about that stuff. But, we might be able to get a really good deal in a couple of years. So at the end of a year and, when they want to get rid of them, get us a bargain.
You mean buy a used Quonset hut?
No. They're brand new. But the company is sell. I've seen them advertised on TV too. And they try, they want to sell during the year at top prices. And then at the end, they want to get rid of some of their inventory. So they'll give you a discount.
Yeah, we built X number, but they're not going to sell to the farmers over the winter. So let's get rid of them cheap.
Yeah, right. So they don't, right, exactly. So something to look at anyway.
Yeah. So the answer, Dave, is I don't know. I can't tell you. Would you feel comfortable this year? Because we're a little bit higher than I wanted to be. If we knock that down and then explain, I mean, this is something that when we're going over the budget, I would definitely explain to people, why we're asking for very little money this year, but next year we'll be asking for a little bit more in an effort to just try to keep costs down for this year.
When is the
I
safety
guess my
building?
question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I just wondered when the safety building, isn't that going to be paid for soon? Isn't it the safety building? 2 years?
I think it's 2 years. Yeah,
Yeah.
23.
So what do we put in that always in the safety building for that? How much is our payments for that?
I think it's 44,000 this year. I'll look.
So it'll probably be about,
Long-term debt. Yeah, 44,000.
Yeah.
so I would say, I don't know. I feel bad with this COVID stuff and all this craziness that's going on. I'd rather have it a little bit less. And then 2 years when we pay that off, maybe we could even, if we get really lucky, which I doubt this year, but we could pay it off early. Like we did the solar array. But
No, we can't because
can't
that's
do
a
that?
bond. It's not a loan.
Oh, it's a bond. Okay. So that's
Um,
just my thinking. I worry about COVID and people not working and
mhm. So I'll point out a couple things here. And I guess my question to Chris is, you said we came in a bit over what you wanted, but our total increase for total to be raised by taxes is less than half a percent.
Right. But the
So-
total budget, though, is getting close to 3%.
2.41% at this point.
Okay. And so let's keep it down as close as we can get it to 2. And I don't know if that would even, let's see.
So you're only looking at the operating budget, not the warrant articles, because that's not going to change what's in the operating budget, which is where your 2.4% that you're mentioning 2% comes from.
Okay, well, yeah, I mean, that would be a capital reserve fund. Yeah. So, well, I mean, doesn't that help somehow though? I forget.
So, I mean, the total to be raised by taxes is the total of the operating budget plus the total of the warrant articles. So yes, but at the same time, the warrant articles and the way that we set up the CRFs and ETFs is a way to smooth out the amount that we pay over time, as opposed to like, hey, let's just not pay them this year and drop taxes. And then it'll have to be a lot more the next year and the year after.
Right.
And so by doing that, we kind of artificially change things because we'll just be socking it to people way worse next year then. And that's not a good idea.
No, I understand all of that. I just feel like,
Well, not necessarily. If we, in 2 years, if the safety building is paid for, there's a $48,000 savings, so we can put more money in and still be saving money. More money in the salt shed.
True. But that, well, and again, part of that is timelines of stuff but that's also, when that goes away, you have to consider that we will have been continuing to see things like police officer amounts going up for hours. And in 2, 3, 4 years, there's a reasonable chance that Phil retires. And so then we'll have to pay off Phil's retirement, plus pay for police academy for a new hire, most likely. So neither of those are going to be cheap. So it's not like you can say, well, in 2 years, our expenditures are actually going down.
no, that's right. I don't think expenditures ever really do.
What about the money we get for new buildings? I'm trying to think of what it is. It's divided between the school, I know, and the town and certain things. Now I can't remember what they call it, but
You mean a block
impact
grant?
impact fees, yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
impact fees.
Yeah. So I just wondered, I mean, I noticed more new houses going up, so
Bruce normally tracks those and when they are expiring and that sort of thing. I know they have to be used for improvements. I don't know if any of that could actually be used towards the salt shed or not. That would be an interesting place to look for using some of it towards construction if we did not have other things for
Wait a minute.
town hall
Are we talking about land use change tax here?
no, impact fees, where when you buy a house, when you build a new house.
Oh, yeah, that $5,000.
Right.
Yeah.
Some goes to schools, some goes to town improvements and stuff like that. So
Where does that show up?
that's not listed here. Do we have it in revenue at all? It's probably under other miscellaneous revenue.
I don't think it is actually, because those are separate accounts.
That's true, because we don't get that put into our normal budget.
No.
Which is why when we do something from impact fees, we have to make a motion to take them from impact fees.
we must
Because
have,
if we don't
knows where they are.
spend the impact fee, it goes back to the person
Yes.
that spent it.
That's my belief.
And there's I want to say it's 2 or 3, I think it's 3 years that we have to use it or we have to give it back.
So well, we should be using it. Where is the list of impact fees? I mean, where is it? It's got to be here someplace.
It's not
Bruce
here.
has
The
that.
treasurer has that separately.
Oh, the treasurer.
But I'm sure that he can get us a list. I could get you a list
Okay.
of what's in there.
It would also be worth asking if we can use that for things like, for example, the new road towards the salt shed. If we could use them for the road for the salt shed, then we know that we're using the impact fees, and that just means that there's less that we're going to have to put into the fund. And then it's not tax stuff.
I was wondering earlier if we couldn't get a block grant for the salt shed stuff.
One might exist.
I mean,
Always a possibility.
Isn't that sort of the nature of a block grant, that, feds help towns defray costs?
Yeah. Yeah. We probably should look into that.
Yeah. So, well, okay. So going back to this then,
Sorry, I was just typing numbers in, so you'll see the 20,000 sitting there right now. 20,000, it puts us 0.19% below overall for total to be raised by taxes, and 25,000 puts us at 0.04% above. So
Where are you, where are you, do you have those figures on this page?
no, you got to click back to estimated tax, which is the next tab to the left.
Oh, got it. Okay.
So with it at 25,000, it's 0.04% change overall for total to be raised by taxes.
Okay. And what had it been, Dave?
35,000, which
Yeah, right.
I'll just switch it back. And
Oh.
so it was at 0.5%.
Okay, and if you switch it back to 20, then
So here's that 25,000.
okay, so the projected tax rate goes down to 9.23.
Huh?
At the very bottom, it changed.
Oh, the percentage change. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, you know, I mean, I'm just trying to be really conservative here and realistic about our needs. 25,000. So that'd put 136,000 in there. Well,
So here's the second thing to think about. We've now talked about with the police stuff and the cruiser. We've talked about that. Yeah, we're expect revenues for the total payment and stuff like that from Primax and or the other person's insurance, and hopefully for installing equipment, etc. But we need within either the CRFs and ETFs or the budget to have that 43,000 in there, because we're going to have to spend it even though it'll come in as revenue. So we need to have those line items over here to match someplace. And so where do we want to put that money? And I was looking at the police budget, and I don't see a good place for them to even like overspend something towards that, because they could overspend it. And then once we had the warrant articles passed to fund the CRF, we could, for example, have the police cruiser CRF be much larger for a warrant article, and then basically say we're going to reimburse the line item from a CRF after it's processed. But I don't even see a line item that a police cruiser would work from out of the police budget. So how do we, Dana, do you have any ideas on this? Like how and where we can take that from, how we should?
So you're talking about taking it out of the operating budget someplace. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, because if we're trying to do this now, and let's say in a week or two we get the order in, and then we've got the 90 days, that's still going to be before town meeting, so that'll be before any warrants get passed that we need to pay for it. And so we won't be able to have funding. We won't be able to have additional funding from a CRF or an ETF pay for that. But we will still need to pay for it from either a CRF, ETF, or line item.
I don't see a good account to take it under either. I suppose vehicle maintenance would be the close you have.
So I hate to harp on this, but that contingency fund, did we spend all the money down on that this year?
We did not, but that was last year.
It's gone into the general fund now. What's left over.
Where is the general fund under all of these things?
The general fund, what are you looking for, the balance of the general fund?
Yeah.
We won't know that until the auditors are done for 2020.
Okay.
there's a lot of moving parts to that.
Okay. Um, well, go ahead. Go ahead.
I guess what we would do is tell them to do it from vehicle maintenance and way overspend the line item. And then we would refund into the line item from the CRF, ETF, and contingency funds once they get funded.
Well, yeah, you could, once we know what the insurance is going to do, we could add it to both sides. We could add it in the vehicle maintenance and the operating budget, as well as offsetting the difference in the revenues.
But wasn't the chief gonna try to find something? What was the whole idea where it
He's
doesn't?
going to try to find that number, but the problem, the big thing is we know that we have, whether Primex pays $2,000 or all $43,000, that will be a revenue side. That won't be a budget side. And somehow we need to find the place to put that money for either an ETF or CRF or a budget line item. Because that 43,000 needs to be there in order for us to be allowed to spend it, even though it will come in as revenue on the other side.
Yeah, no, I understand that, but I thought he said something about he was going to try to get them. I'd have to ask him again.
Yeah, it's still a bookkeeping problem that we have to resolve. No matter what he gets for insurance money.
I wonder if Wendy could be helpful.
Yeah, she probably knows the ins and outs of everything.
Under that vehicle maintenance, under police, and there's just a pathetically small amount of money in there. And we would be overspending by tens of thousands of dollars.
Well, you'd want a budget for it. You'd have to, you haven't finalized this budget yet, so you could do that.
So
You've got what, 18,000 between the two capital reserve funds we talked about?
Yeah.
And then you've got another, what did he say, 33,000? So what's that, 14 more thousand?
43,000 is the total roughly.
Oh, it is, okay.
So
24.
With all the
yeah,
equipment.
25,000 someplace.
Yeah.
Once you include the equipment. So here's the thing. Because this is a bookkeeping thing, it's not a where does the money come from thing, it's a bookkeeping thing.
It's a bookkeeping entry.
So even like, let's say the vehicle maintenance is sitting here and it stays at the 20, actually what was there, Chris? Was
2,000.
2,000? Okay.
Yep.
So let's say it stays here at the $2,000 and now they overspend that by, $43,000 because that's the price of a cruiser. Okay. So in say March or April, when we get the bill, that line item would be overspent by about 43,000. Assuming, and this is a problem with assumptions, but assuming that the contingency fund passes and we get the usual, ETF, CRF funding through, then we have additional money in the ETF, the CRF, and the contingency fund that we can use to pay back this line item. Is that correct?
Yeah.
What
And
about?
so then the line item doesn't show up overspent.
Yes.
Well, as soon as Primex comes up with,
No, because their check goes into revenues. It does not come into the expense side.
Yeah, that's gross budgeting.
So it gets offset, but where the money comes from has to be listed on our side as spent.
What about a warrant article saying whatever?
Then we can't order the cruiser or pay for it until it happens.
Because I was gonna say, then you could put that the warrant article is gonna be paid for by money from the insurance company.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Which I suppose that's an interesting question. All of our other cruisers have been warrant articles to purchase.
Right.
Mhm.
Do we
Yeah.
need to wait for the warrant article to make this purchase anyway?
Unless you can rent, well, if you could rent a cruiser for so many months.
Well, that might be
Talking
okay if it was going to be like March, because you wouldn't get a cruiser before then anyway. But if we're looking at middle of summer, you're not going to be renting a cruiser that long.
Well, if the other insurance company pays for it, like you said,
If they would, but they're going to say that's you haven't moved to try and get a replacement yet.
well, you don't know what they're. Well, insurance is going to fight you no matter what, so we know that.
Mhm.
But it's, it might be something in this COVID. All this other stuff. You never know if we can get away with that. Really, I mean, it's not getting away with it. It's not our fault that this, our cruiser got killed. So I'm just wondering, I don't know, do you talk to somebody in the municipal department to ask about a warrant article like that?
Well, you could do a warrant article. I'm thinking the timing isn't right.
Mhm.
I'm not sure about your thought, Dave, as far as being able to transfer it out of the contingency fund after the budget is approved to offset that expense, so it doesn't show. I don't think you can do that.
Okay.
I think maybe
DRA is the people that I would talk to, and I can do that.
you can't talk to the DRA. You mean one of the select people has to?
No, no.
No, I said I can.
Oh,
Yeah,
you can. I thought you said
I can. Yeah.
Sorry.
Did I say can? I meant can if I did.
Let's see. Yeah. So we were only looking at, like, the contingency fund is only expected to be a little
50.
under 16 grand anyway.
Yeah.
So that's still not going to cover it.
First, I think we have to find out what the chief finds out, because we can go back and forth and all that, and we're just moving our wheels. I don't know.
Well, no, so I guess
No matter what, it has to go through the bookkeeping process.
it has
so
to
I
be
think-
as an expense.
Yeah. So I think I will talk with Wendy tomorrow and we'll call the DRA. Maybe by putting our heads together, we can come up with a scenario. It's usually you don't put police cruisers in the expense accounts. So that's the issue we're having. If you could do a warrant article, that's the best way, but I don't think our timing's right. But there's got to be a way.
Is there a way for the insurance check to go to, for example, the police cruiser CRF, since it's for a police cruiser? Because then we could just expect that we're going to fund everything out of that CRF.
That's a good question. Or is there a way for the insurance company to make the check payable to whatchamacallit, Ford or whatever it is?
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I think the chief was saying. Something
Right.
about somewhere I got my brain into that.
I asked if that was something that would be an option, because we as individual consumers can do that. Like, don't
Yeah.
pay me, just pay them for the repair.
Yeah, right, exactly. And that would be, if we could keep it from going through that way, although I suppose you lose a little record keeping that way. I will talk to the trustee of the trust funds about if we could deposit that into the trust funds and have it come from there. Do you know, Dee?
I don't know.
I mean, because I mean, it's not, they usually just use what the voters have voted.
Mhm.
I don't know. I mean, that's something
Yeah, I don't either, and
that's something you'd have to find out from municipal association or DRA, I would assume.
yeah, I
Yeah.
agree.
I mean, I would just think if somebody had a lot of money and wanted to put in, a resident wanted to put in $50,000 in some kind of a fund, I would almost think it would be allowed.
Yeah, but I think that this has happened in other communities, I'm sure. And there's a way to solve it. Just doing the way that's the most transparent and the best way, I think.
Yeah, no, you're right.
And so you don't have to backpedal.
Mhm.
All right. So are we over that cruiser thing? Or are we still thinking? Dave, I smell smoke.
I'll probably be spinning on it until we figure out the solution. So don't worry. Don't wait on that for me. Let's look at other parts of the budget if we've got them to look at.
Where's Chris? Did she run away or what?
No, I'm right here. I'm
She's
sorry.
just hiding her chocolate.
I know. I wish I
Did
could
we
share this with you guys.
Did we happen to change anything in the warrant articles?
We started talking about and provisionally sitting there is 25,000 for the highway land building fund instead of 35,000.
Okay, but you're still chatting about it.
Yeah, so I guess personally, I think that makes a lot of sense because in like 0.04%, that's really about as close as we can get to making taxes exactly the same as they were the previous year.
Sounds good to me.
So 20,000 rather than 35?
25,000.
25,000. So
it's sitting there right now. So if you click on the estimated tax rate tab, you'll see, actually, since you can see where I'm hovering over, you'll see the percentage right there, 0.04%.
So, okay, that's good. That's better. That's better. The estimated tax rate.
Yeah, line 6 on the right-hand side.
Oh, mine still says 0.5.
We spilled something because it seems to be okay.
Are you looking at the budget worksheet as of 01/19/2021?
I thought that I was. Oh.
I thought you were.
I was, and I just X'd it out. Oh God. I will in a minute.
From them. This is first time buyer, so doesn't apply. Finish it.
So while you're getting back in there, I want to bring up another thing to consider about our taxes and our tax rate. And that is, if you intend to either renegotiate the existing pilot or have a new one written for the new properties, assuming we can do that when, we still have to wait on legal. But I believe that we're in a situation where we can either write it for the new one or get them to agree that to get a pilot on the new one that will renegotiate all of it. If that's the case, you're going to be looking at, for example, current tax rate for that negotiation.
Mhm.
So if you artificially lower the current tax rate, that will hurt us dramatically in the pilot situation.
Well, are we lowering it dramatically? Artificially?
Well, so for example, with your concept of, you know, you wanting to take out even more from the CRFs and that sort of thing, and we've already taken road preservation down to 100,000 instead of the 125,000, if that and the highways and roads were switched. So
Mhm.
all of these things are lower this year than they would normally be, and if we're keeping the lower that things are, the better for the development company for keeping pilot payments lower. And
Okay.
so,
I don't have anywhere near the head to get around those kind of figures. I figured that I personally, none of us personally, were going to be renegotiating the pilot. That this
oh,
would
okay.
that this would be something a lawyer would do for us.
Oh, well, yes. So if we can have it renegotiated, one of the big thing that's going to kind of hinge upon, and what the rates would hinge upon naturally, would be what would you expect for tax revenue from them if they did not have a pilot?
Well, isn't that why we're interested in seeing what Skip has to say?
Yes,
Right.
but that depends on our tax rate.
Okay.
And so if our tax rate is artificially low when they look at that, they will have a number that's artificially low to base the pilot numbers on.
Okay. So do you think our tax rate of, which is what now, 6.38, is it that's artificially low?
Yes, because if you look at, for example, the expendable trust funds, road preservation is at 100,000 instead of the normal 200,000. Now that's from a swap with highways and roads,
Right.
which is normally 125,000.
Right.
So we're down 25,000 there. We are not suggesting to fund compensated absences yet because we don't know what we should really be putting in there. We aren't funding municipal property maintenance, even though we should probably be putting something into that for things like the painting and the cupola and so on and so forth. So these are the kinds of things that make perfect sense in a year like this, where we don't want to stress people, but we don't want to do that and then base things like the pilot numbers off of it and then suddenly jump back up afterwards and
Okay.
not have gotten extra payments in pilot.
Okay.
So I think it makes perfect sense when it's, you know, like $5,000 for municipal property maintenance or whatever. That makes perfect sense to do. But if we're going down for everything like that's large, like road preservation and the salt shed amount and so on, I think that's setting ourselves up to get hurt later.
No,
But
I understand now. I understand what you're saying. So I actually looking at these zeros under the expendable trust funds, I figured that those zeros would actually turn into numbers. And so I wasn't thinking that they would remain that way.
so the police vehicle maintenance, highway building maintenance, and welfare were kind of expected to stay at zeros because they have enough in them to already function as the backlog that they're supposed to. Because they're in case we run over on in case we run over on the normal budget, basically, is what those three line items are for.
Even highway building maintenance, that 3,000 that's sitting in there
Mhm.
is enough to give us the cushion that we need.
Well, so what's highway building maintenance? What's a highway building?
A highway building,
It's the salt shed.
that's the only highway building. So the safety building is something,
The
is
safety
not that.
building has its entire own fund,
Okay. So,
as does the town hall.
okay, so good. So highway, yeah, so highway building maintenance. We already maintained that actually last year.
So compensated absences and municipal property maintenance, I could see that those would be getting additional funding for this year. Those are zeros right now, but those were funded previously as well. So
So let's plug compensated absences in for another 2,500
okay, done.
and municipal property maintenance. Let's see, there's 7,600 in there. I don't know, what do you think? Municipal
You want to
property,
put it in at 2,500? We'll be nice to them, but still be lower.
that's fine. Let's see what.
So if we do that, the total to be raised by taxes is up 0.27% from 2020, which is a far cry from the 2% that you were aiming, hoping to be under.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So no, I think that's a really, I'm really glad that you thought of this, Steve. Even though I don't know what is going to be involved at all in renegotiating the pilot. All I know is that John Radigan, the lawyer for Hopkinton, was the person who basically negotiated that pilot agreement on behalf of both Hopkinton and Webster a couple of years ago. So, maybe he's the person once again who's going to be doing this. And
Should we ask him then for the financial data that created the?
yes, he must have had that at the time. Leslie must have brought in our share of that.
I would think so, to be total.
I've been hoping that we could get a copy of whatever the, because in theory, the towns at least should have done something to figure out where this was for taxes versus the taxes it was offsetting. But I can't seem to find, and I've asked Dana, and he didn't find previously any documents as to what that was.
Right.
So
I wasn't invited to that party. So
I believe it was just Borek working over at Hopkinton, correct?
no, actually it was Leslie and Nancy.
Oh, okay. I remember Borek presented it, so I thought it was him.
Nope.
Okay.
Borek presented everything. He gave Nancy a couple of things to say and he gave me nothing to say. So you're talking about at the town meeting?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and the normal select board meetings as well, because I was going to those. I was the sole public when you had the public hearing for it.
I know it. I thought, who is that guy?
So do we have a copy of the pilot?
We
somewhere?
do.
Yes.
And
yeah.
it's, if you go to the subcommittee website, it's the first link on the top left. Sorry, second link on the top left.
Okay.
And that's the one that was signed by Nancy. And
Okay.
it has all the details. It's 3,000 per megawatt, I believe. And it does list the specific properties that it covers. And the proposed update from Olive Wood uses the exact same financial figures of the 3,000 per megawatt, just updates it for what they expect to be in Webster and adds in the properties. So as far as a record keeping update, it makes perfect sense. What I don't know is whether those amounts make sense, since we're now going to be expecting an expensive substation and a more expensive interconnect, and all of that will be in Webster instead of on town-owned property in Hopkinton.
Right. Difference between public property and private.
Yep,
That's huge.
the tax burden is vastly different there. So I
Right.
just want to make sure that we don't get screwed with that.
Right. And I think Radigan is just the guy to do this for us.
Well, I would think so. He's already into it, so
Yeah.
it's not like starting from scratch. Did we ever get anything that of Hopkinton's that showed us what they talked about with Hopkinton?
Well, all of their only thing that they have is on the transfer station. So
Oh, okay.
And that's why I'm hoping that we're going to be able to renegotiate this pilot.
So do you want Dana to ask Radigan for that then?
Oh, yes, please, Dana. Yeah.
Okay.
Do we need a motion since that's legal and they'll probably charge us?
Yeah. I'm sure he will.
Yeah. The have you been cautious about your contacts with the town attorney?
Yes.
Okay, great. Yes.
As much as I can be. I mean, I want to talk to you about Pennacook Circle. I've had to use him. I think he is going above the $2,000 you originally had thought. Now, again, this is reimbursable money.
Mhm.
But I don't think we have a choice not to use them.
I wonder if our legal fund ask for this year maybe should be a little bit higher. I mean, we're coming into this year facing, some legal issues, which we didn't have last year.
Yeah.
And we've got a couple of them actually.
Yes. So looking at legal expenses.
We've got 9,000 in the operating budget. And there is a CRF or an EFT on that?
Yep, which I think has about the same amount.
9,000, something like that. Yeah.
Is there a legal portion to?
Actually, it's 15.
Yeah, the balance is 15.
Yeah.
Why don't we put a little bit more in the ETF?
I was thinking the budget would actually make more sense, because then if we don't use it, it goes back and we can use it to offset taxes.
Okay. So the budget was 9,000, I think, correct?
Yes.
And
So-
it's really easy to tell people, yep, there's legal stuff going on in town, so we're going to expect we need to use it more.
What do you think about that, Tara? So, yeah, why don't do you want to go up to 12 on that?
What is the normal rate?
For the lawyer, 195 an hour.
Okay, so I'm going to round to 200 and calc. So if you wanted to go to, so the 3 divided by, that would only be another, that can't be right. 3,000 divided by 200 an hour. Yeah, so that would be another 15 hours worth of work for that 3,000. That seems like a pretty reasonable expect for a totality of that additional work. And if it's not, we've got the fund.
So we've got a proposed budget of 9,600 rather than 9,000, unless I'm looking at the wrong thing again.
I think you're looking at the total. Because I show
Yeah.
legal expenses, town council at 9,000 and legal MCRD at 600, what is the MCRD again?
Merrimack County,
Oh, okay.
Registry of Deeds.
yeah.
So,
So the 9,000, if we put that up to the 12,000, that gives us that extra. And okay, I just changed that.
no, I just changed that.
Oh, okay. Well,
No, I
it's
just-
changed now. I typed it, so maybe we typed it together, whatever.
We did, Dave. It's great.
So, I mean, that really doesn't change the total to be raised by taxes by much. It's still 0.41%. So, I mean, that's fine, and that makes perfect sense to go there.
Yeah.
And hopefully we can, when, say, for example, we know that there's going to be salary and other kinds of those expenses increased in the next year, because that always happens. Hopefully we can drop this back down if the legal stuff is done by then, which I would certainly hope it is.
I would hope it is. The
Yeah.
Dana, do you happen to know, or maybe Dee, when our obligation for that $10,000 for the Pillsbury Lake Dam?
I think
Or
it's
maybe Dave
3
knows.
years. I think it's about 3 years from now, if I'm not mistaken.
God,
In the,
I thought it was 3 years the last 2 years.
I don't think this year's last year. I don't
No,
believe-
it's got at least a few years in it.
That's what I think, too.
Okay.
I know somebody always asks, and I probably wrote it in my book from last year, but
I think I saw it when it went across in front of the CIP, but I don't remember what it is.
Have we helped or hurt ourselves by switching that highways and roads preservation? Does that,
I'm
Without-
sorry. Wait a minute. The Pillsbury Lake debt is over in 2026.
oh,
Yes, we got a few years to go.
oh,
Mhm.
I like the 3-year better.
Yeah, so as far as the road preservation and highways and roads, we've helped ourselves by swapping them.
yes.
And
But-
because of the ability to use highways and roads for things like Concord Drive.
No, I totally get that. I just wonder by taking from expendable trust and putting it into capital reserve.
No, they're basically consider them all the same, but they have a different name.
Okay. Okay. So what else do we need to do on this budget?
We're going to need to find where to put that police cruiser,
Okay, well,
I think
which
first we have
Dana
to
was
have the
gonna check
police.
in.
Yeah, the chief has to check in, is right.
the chief is going to check in, and then Dana's going to call DRA and work with Wendy on that and
Mhm.
get some help there. So we might get that question answered by next Monday.
Well, the chief said Monday he'd have things ready for us.
Yep.
Okay,
I-
yeah.
But DRA, yeah.
So if we can have that answered by Monday, that would be excellent.
Because the budget hearing is on the 4th.
It
February.
is,
Yeah.
but we have another, I think we have another, don't we have another meeting?
Yeah,
Let's
you
see.
do.
We
On the
have-
1st. On the 1st. Work session on the 1st.
Right,
Selectmen's meeting on the 25th
right.
of this month.
So we have, yeah, and so that's neither department head or anything else, so that we have time to work on the budget that night.
Mhm.
And then Monday, the 1st, is going to be a sort of a dress rehearsal for us to figure out how we can best present the budget.
Okay.
For the 4th. So, all right, so what other issues do we have to work out here?
Well, you've got all the warrant articles. I think the biggest thing, you just have to kind of wait for, it seems like everything else pretty cut and dried.
Yeah, I want a nice, boring town meeting.
1 hour, boy, if we do 1 hour in this year, boy, I'm telling you.
I just want to have a town meeting.
Well,
I know.
that's true too.
So we were asked, I have been asked, Dee has been asked about town meeting, what's going to happen with that, and when's it going to be? We don't have to decide now when it is going to be, but you know, Dee, you were talking to somebody today, I think, who wanted
Yep.
it later,
Yeah, later.
later
June.
in the spring.
But the
Mhm.
trouble is, you don't know, I mean, it's COVID, it's like anybody's guess. But yeah, because not everybody will be vaccinated by, well, who knows, April or May. I was thinking we were talking May before.
Yeah,
And so, which might be true. I mean, it's really a crapshoot. I don't know when,
Yeah,
who knows?
and so like I agree with that, and that making it later is better for participation.
Mm,
Yet at the same time, we as a town rely on things like CRFs, and for example, Concord Drive. If we're expecting that to come out of highways and roads as the CRF, which has been the expectation, until that warrant passes, that money does not exist.
I know it. So if we were to aim for May, early May, which is really about as early as road work can begin anyway, and then have a rain date for sometime in June
Or later May.
or later May, you know.
I think a lot of that, I think we're going to have to wait before we make up our mind just to see what the CDC is
Oh
saying.
yeah, we will.
So-
I'm just suggesting that perhaps we think about it in that way.
Yeah.
So 65 and older will be able to get vaccinations starting this Friday, or sign up is this Friday.
Sign up. Yeah, right. Sign
Yeah.
up is, and of course, who knows how fast you're going to do it. I mean,
Well, Sununu was saying today that he's making 17,000 vaccinations per week available.
that's
And
nothing,
That's
really.
nothing. I
I
know.
mean, I thought of, why don't they just use voting place? I mean, if I was going to call them, not that they'll listen to me, but use people's voting place or something. We have plenty of doctors and nurses around that, they could make extra money for doing things in their towns.
Well, a group from Pillsbury Lake contacted me last week offering the community building over there.
Oh yeah, that'd be great too.
That would be good. And our town hall could be
And
used.
look how great the voting went. These people,
Yeah.
do it the same way as the voting. I mean, it went with flawless
So,
with all the people voting.
so the problem with vaccinations is not in being able to find people that are in places that are willing. It's that the packs have to be sent all together and can't be split up until such times as they're being administered. And that has to all be sub-zero. So all the transport, storage, and everything has to be sub-zero and then just warmed up as they're giving it to you, basically. And so that's why you're typically seeing only specific hospitals being allowed to distribute them.
Well, that's only if that one kind of vaccine is being used, though, right?
There are only 2 vaccines right now, and both of them are that way.
I didn't think the second one was.
It is, it just doesn't require as much of a sub-zero.
Well, it doesn't require.
A third one is hoping to go through the fast track process and be done soon, and that one will not require sub-zero. It should also not require a second dose. So whereas the current ones require the second dose, plus waiting after that before they're actually effective and need the sub-zero.
Well, I thought it was
At least
pretty,
from the reports I've been seeing.
I thought I saw something, I think it was in India. In 3 days, they vaccinated 380,000 people. I mean, and then we're talking about New Hampshire, 17,000. I mean, come on, you know? So no, not what did I say, 3 days. They did so they did 100,000 people in a day, over more, a little over. But and we can't do it. That just doesn't make sense to me at all. And I don't know. But anyway, so we're stuck kind of, we all
Keep
of
in
us.
mind that India's population is more like combining California and New York.
Yeah,
It's
but
not New
still,
Hampshire.
yeah, that's right. But we could
So
do
the
the whole.
percentage is still really low.
So, well, yeah, but we could, if they could do that, we could do the whole state almost in a couple of days. You know what I mean?
If
I
we
mean, it
used,
just makes sense. I'm too much of a common sense person. I know. It's just so.
have you been noticing how slowly these people who are giving the vaccines give those vaccines? I mean, it looks like the needle takes 10 minutes to go into the arm. And then, then they withdraw the thing at a painful 2 or 3 minutes.
I just want their face on TV. So, but I mean, I could say well, I know some doctors and, EMTs and right in Webster, run them in and out of the fire department. One door and out the other. I mean, it's just ways I think you could do it if we got the vaccine. And so.
Yeah, Biden will figure it out. He'll get things moving.
I hope so. But it, just doesn't make sense. When I saw India, it's like, come on, they're doing that, and we can't with all the great hospitals and people we have in this country. So anyway, that's not helping us. But we can find out something.
So getting back to the budget, so it's getting on to 9 o'clock, which is, my bedtime. So tell me what you all want to continue to discuss here.
Personally, I think we should just wait till we hear from the police chief and Dana with DRA.
Yeah, I think the next step is waiting for Dana's response from DRA on how we should account for that.
Mm-hmm. Other than that, Dave, do you feel like we're in pretty good shape?
Mm-hmm.
Good. Dana, how are you feeling?
I feel that we're in pretty good shape as well.
Yeah, Dee?
Yes, me too. Me three.
Okay. So, okay, well then we'll carry on this thing on Monday. And Dave, when is your next solar array group?
A week from today.
A week from, next Tuesday.
Yep.
Okay. Okay.
But I haven't really gotten any new information.
Yeah.
So I don't know. In theory, we should hear back from the Conservation Commission, because the person that was there representing them last time had not been at the Conservation Commission meeting previous. So we didn't get any information from them on how much and what they were interested in doing in the process they wanted to take for involvement in the MOU. So I imagine we'll probably talk about that a little bit.
Okay.
But unless I get a fresh bit of information or we can talk about pilots because lawyers have gotten back to us, or be able to say, hey, yeah, we have signed off on this stuff for funding. There really aren't that many updates. We were hoping that there would be a little bit of an update and all of the committees chiming in. We'll have a planning board meeting Thursday, so 2 days from now. So we'll most likely be talking about the MOU stuff a little bit there. But we're already involved with that. And so I don't expect a ton of input or a ton of discussion, because we don't have a lot of new material unless it's coming from the Conservation Commission representative.
Okay, well, I am the backup to the Conservation Commission representative, who's Betsy Janeway.
Mhm.
So,
Yep,
she
she was
wanted,
there last time.
yeah, so she wants, everybody wants two of us there. Betsy doesn't feel, she doesn't feel like she understands enough about the project yet. So, but I did want to tell you that, remembered at our last select board meeting, there was a mysterious man named Dan
Mhm.
who appeared. Well, Dan is an abutter to the solar array project, and he's one of the people that lives right down on the Concord line.
Okay,
And I suggested strongly that he contact you or show up at the solar array subcommittee meeting so that he could say what he wanted to say to you. And
great.
secondly, the at the Conservation Commission meeting the other night, there was a fellow who lives out of state, but who owns a very important piece of property on the Blackwater River. And he and his wife are interested in selling that property, hoping that Olivewood would be interested in purchasing it as mitigation property.
Oh, wow.
Is this the Frost Lane one?
It is, well, it's not on Frost Lane, but the house that these people own up here is on Frost Lane.
Oh, okay. There was somebody that showed up to the committee meeting last time that I believe was the open lot at the end of Frost Lane that was saying they were going to try to contact Olivewood to offer it as well.
Oh, that's probably the same people. So I had a long talk with them. They're the Gammons. Does that name ring a bell?
That might have been a name that was there. I'm horrible with names.
Okay, so they live at the end of Frost Lane, but the land is actually landlocked, and the only way to get to it is through the Schwaziak's parcel.
Oh, I've been down in that land. That's my daughter Heather was thinking about buying that a long time ago.
Oh, thank God
Yeah.
she didn't.
Yeah.
It's beautiful down in there. Old, nice old trees, and
20, I think it's 20 acres or something
it
like
is
that.
20 acres, and it's about 3,000 feet of frontage on the
Yep.
Blackwater.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I
So
saw it was a beautiful land. I walked over there too.
yeah. So yeah, so that's kind of an exciting thing. So I mentioned that to Dom today, and he said that he'd be really interested in finding out more about it. So if I could get him the tax card on it, which I will. And then I think what I'd like to do is talk to Five Rivers, because they would probably hold the easement on it. And see if they have any interest in it. So anyway, there's some, that would be a really important piece for the town to own, because it's abutted by the Rockefeller land.
Oh, wow.
So there's there'd be a nice contiguous stretch of open conserved land that way.
Mhm.
And the stretch along the Blackwater is pretty key. So
And
even though,
especially if it's currently landlocked, that's pretty much ideal for that sort of thing.
yeah. So I'm hopeful, and the Gammons seem like terrific people. So anyway, I wanted to let you know, I've been excited to tell
The
you
people that showed up at the subcommittee, I suggested that the two people that they should contact probably at the same time would be Dana and Dom. So
Okay. I urge
because
them.
all of our town stuff should like all of our communications should basically be going through Dana for this, so that we have records of everything. So
Yep.
that's the way we've been trying to run it all.
No, I understand. But I mean, if somebody contacts the Conservation Commission, just because they're super excited to do it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
All right. So anyway, okay. All right. Well then, do we have anything else to say to one another?
I guess the point would be that if you and or Dee are expecting to show up to that solar subcommittee, then we need to also make a posting that the select board will have a quorum there.
Right.
Mm. Well, you could always post it if we aren't able to, it's at least it's ahead of us. We're ahead of it. If we can't make it, okay. I'd like to listen in on that too. So,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay,
so
Dana.
why don't we
I
post it?
haven't, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's the one on the 26th, right?
Yep, 26th at 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock. Okay.
And all of the information for that, as we know it, including the meetings and the Zoom links and stuff, are right on the subcommittee website.
Right.
Okay. Okay.
And so Dana, I noticed that there are a lot of old meetings on that view all meetings portion of the town website. You know, if
Mhm.
you go to the town website and you want to see what
Yeah.
meetings are coming up, there's a bunch of old meetings that can be deleted.
Okay, how old?
Pretty old. I mean, they've passed.
What do you mean by, are you talking about the news or I should say the posting portion, or what is it?
Yeah. The place right on the front page of the website
Yeah.
that has the meetings that are coming up.
So
And
the
you-
news?
Oh, in the bulletin board?
Yeah, it's a bulletin board, I guess. I'm not
Yeah.
looking at it, so I don't know.
Yeah,
It's always where I go to get
Yeah.
the link for our meetings. So then if you click view all, then
Okay.
all these meetings come up. And some of those meetings that are still on there are meetings that have passed.
So I would suggest that we actually leave them. And the reason is because with posting, in the past, just having a physical post at town hall in a couple of locations was the locations we needed. And now with the virtual stuff, these are being used as one of those locations. And so this gives us the legal look back of, yes, we did post it, here's proof.
Do we not have any other proof other than that? When we post on that, if we were to delete that, that's the only evidence that we deleted, that we posted a virtual meeting.
I mean,
Can we-
usually there's,
Can we tuck them away somewhere? Can we tuck the postings away so it's,
if they've got an agenda posted somewhere else, is that what you're saying? Maybe?
no, I understand what David's saying. That if we need to prove to anybody that we have done our due diligence and posted it virtually properly,
Yeah,
and I am wanting to clean it up because it has all of these old meetings in there.
I
I'm
get it.
wondering if we can take those postings and tuck them into a folder somewhere so it's not cluttered.
actually, I think there's a way to unpublish without deleting that will hang on to them.
Oh, okay.
Ask Russ.
Yeah, I will.
They wouldn't show up anywhere. No one would be able to see them, but if they asked for proof, we'd be able to still provide it.
Okay.
Okay, so if everybody is all set, I'm going to move to close the meeting at 8:58.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Good night.
Good
Dave,
night now.
Was that an aye?
Yes.
He ayed?
Oh, I didn't hear him. I did.
I didn't hear you aye.
I did.
I know you ayed.
Okay.
But I didn't hear an aye from Dave.
Oh, aye.
Great.
Good night.
Okay. Thank you all.
Captain.
Good night.
Good night.